What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Matthew's Monthly Housing Market Minutes. This is episode 10, if we're keeping count, and I know we're not. What are we going to talk about today? Unfortunately, we're going to revisit the subject of the war in Iran. Not unfortunately. What we're going to talk about, though, today is the prolonged effect that events, geopolitical events like this cause. Because it seems that the national media likes to put spins on these things that say something like this. We've got a ceasefire now. Everything's going to get better. The clouds are going to part. And all will be well in the world. What they fail to call attention to is the fact that just like in the housing market, value, when the market starts to shift, whether it's up or down, and when I mean up or down, I mean into a buyer's market or into a seller's market, just like when the housing market shifts or begins to shift, values don't go up or down instantaneously. It tends to take a prolonged period of time, 6, 12, 18, 24 months in some case, before you see values titrate up or down. It's the exact same thing with geopolitical issues. When the hose bib is turned off, or there's a ceasefire or a peace treaty or some significant event takes place, there's long-term ramifications that are yet to come. That's what we're going to talk about today. Starting with the Strait of Hormuz, because that's the big to-do that the news wants to talk about, is the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. What does that mean for us? Well, it means a little bit, but not a whole lot to the United States, because we don't get most of our oil from the Middle East in that way. But 20% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. And while every day you get up and you get in your vehicle and you see that your gas tank is on E and you need to go get gas, so you go to the gas station and you fill it up and it's right there ready for you, what it takes to get it there is a much, much longer and more arduous process. So when it's processed and it's put on tankers, it leaves, and those tankers oil is not delivered like Amazon. It doesn't come overnight. It actually takes months in some cases. So for every day that these tankers are not able to flow through unobstructed the Strait of Hormuz, that delays the delivery of it by more time on the other end. So when it leaves there in February and March, which is when this all started, so in February, that oil might not get to where it was going for several months. So it's not an overnight thing is what I mean. So when you see the number at the pump, it's not directly linked to what's happening right now. It's linked to what happened in the past. Same thing in the housing market. Now the light bulb just went off. I saw it. I saw the light bulb go off. Values don't go up or down instantaneously. Same thing at the pump. Prices don't go up or down instantaneously because we haven't felt the full effect of the oil not moving freely through the Strait of Hormuz. So, where are we going, Matthew? Oil impacts everything because all things are either made from or moved by oil. And just as I said, values don't go up or down, gas prices don't go up or down instantaneously, and we don't feel the surplus or shortage of gas or oil that's still in transit immediately. It will be felt in the long run. And you will pay it in the grocery store too. And not immediately. So when this event finally takes place, the ceasefire, the peace treaty, whatever it is we come to, whatever resolution it is, whenever it takes place, be prepared. And this is not negative pessimism, doom and gloom. This is a disclaimer to be at the ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I think How I Met Your Mother, think that's what that's from. You can check me. You can put it down in the comments. See if I was right or wrong. I think I was right. But if you get ready, you don't have to stay ready. So there's going to be long-term effects and ramifications felt as a result of this. Groceries are going to get more expensive, which that's inflation. And I know that everybody that is a buyer or a seller as of late has been hyper fixated on what interest rates are doing. And we talked about that in a previous video. So if things are getting more expensive because the transportation of the oil is delayed because of the war in Iran with Israel and the U.S. and Strait of Hormuz can't flow freely, you get where I'm going. Eventually, once this is resolved, and while it is being resolved, the process of it, groceries are going to start to get more expensive. Inflation. Everything is going to get more expensive. Inflation. Ergo, the Fed, the Federal Reserve, won't be able sensically to decrease the federal funds rate because they will be fighting inflation. And they won't be able to raise rates because we're also fighting a slowing economy. This is called stagflation. When the economy is slowing, depending on how you consume media, I don't watch the news. I would highly encourage it. Depending on how you cultivate or how you consume your content, you'll know that companies have been laying off employees in droves. It's not directly linked to AI. They are getting ready, or they're staying ready so they don't have to get ready. Always watch where the money goes, where the money flows, what the money does. That tells you what you need to be doing. Batten down the hatches. They're laying off employees in droves, i.e. the economy is slowing. So the Fed cannot raise rates to fight inflation because we're also seeing the economy slow. And they can't decrease rates because they're fighting inflation and the economy is slowing. Typically, when the economy is slowing, they'll lower rates to get the economy moving. They can't because we're fighting inflation. Because when you lower rates, inflation picks up. Things get more expensive. When you increase rates, the rate at which prices go up goes down, but they can't do that. Think you see where I'm going. So, what does this mean for the housing market? Well, it's too soon to tell. Right now, at least in the Florida Gulf Coast area that we service, the 8 counties that we service, we're actually starting to see some improvement. The months of inventory have come down. Sales have picked up slightly year over year, and in some areas, even month over month, 20 and 30%. So buyers are still buying because they've accepted the new norm of what rates have been for quite some time. And that will change depending on how long this war goes on, depending on how high inflation gets, depending on how much the economy slows. That will dictate what's going to go on in the housing market. So it's not going to get better overnight, and it's not necessarily going to get considerably worse overnight. This is merely a disclaimer to understand what's going on. All those people who are waiting on the new Fed chair that goes in next month to just flip a switch and everything get better. It's not going to work that way. It can't, because we're fighting a slowing economy and we're fighting inflation due to a war. And oil, always follow the oil. Oil controls almost everything. So once the clouds part and there's a peace treaty and it seems like everything is going in the right direction, be prepared. That is the tip of the iceberg. And if you know anything about the iceberg analogy, about 80 to 90% of the iceberg is below the surface. We're right at the surface. Too soon to tell, as I always say. I'm probably going to keep this video a little short today. I don't even know how long these things usually are, about 15 minutes or so. Hopefully this is valuable information. It's not hyper-focused on real estate today. However, follow the oil. Oil controls everything. And oil is ultimately going to control what the Fed can do with interest rates as a result of this. And that will control what happens to inflation, and that will control what happens with the economy. There are ways around this. We've had similar issues like this in the past, in the 70s and other times. We had it in the 40s after World War II. We had a good bit of this. There are ways around it, but they're not always pretty. So, if you like this, if you want more content like this, please, or different content, comment below. Like, share, subscribe. Heck, tell me you hate me, you never want to see me again. I'll give you a like. How's that? You guys have an amazing rest of your April. I mean, we're already at the end. And if you're in the market to buy or sell real estate in the Florida Gulf Coast, we only have 100 years combined behind us, 5,000 sales, and average about 100 transactions a year. We'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Until the next time, this concludes another Matthew's Monthly Housing Market Minutes.